Come on in, welcome to my room. Let's first address the elephant in the room, which is, yes, I don't feel well. This is being recorded right after the Canadian the smoke from the Canadian wildfires went through the Midwest, and it hit my sinuses, and yeah, this is what I sound like now. I'm feeling okay, but yeah, so I'll try to talk as little as I can in this video, but there's a lot to say, so I'll put more names on plants than I normally would, but this is just an update of my garden tour, and quite a few things have happened. Let's start off from where we left off. When we left off, I just planted up Mom's planter boxes with all the Supertunias, Proven Winners items, other petunias, those sort of things, and I found out something really important. Those Supertunias and those sort of things, they grew a lot. In fact, to the point where I had to, the boxes that I had put five plants in, I had to remove one, and the one that had the status in it, I had to remove those plants and put them in their own pots, simply because they're too big. They're doing really well, so they're now just beginning to cascade over. And we did get some extra flowers to add in, but everything looks pretty good. Her roses look really, really nice, especially the one on the end, which I do not know what variety it is. The other two roses are hedge roses. They look pretty good. Now, in the meantime, my bay laurel did come in. It's small. It's really small. And in the video, in the pictures of the catalog, it did not look like it was going to be that small. But it was, and that's okay. Planted it up. It seems to be doing okay. I repotted quite a few things. That was what was important. Some of the things that I was growing, like the, what did we have? We had the pothos, and then we also had a trumpet vine. They were just cuttings. I repotted them, so they're growing. Spider plant, you saw that already had been repotted. Then I got some interesting things. I got a bonsai kit. Yeah, it comes with seeds. You're supposed to be able to grow the bonsai trees from... Okay, let me just go on record in saying that if you know anything about bonsai trees, they can take like 30, 40 years to grow and trim and be trained. Yeah, this is a thing that comes with seeds. Some of the seeds have already come up, which is great. That's wonderful. I don't know. We'll stick around, we'll see how that project goes. I also repotted some of the herbs that I had growing out there. They are now in their own pots. I am using a wonderful watering system that is solar, and it can kick on. It's on for 5 minutes every 24 hours. It works wonderfully. I've talked about that, and I think in my favorite things. Then the herbs came in. I repotted the herbs right away and put them into terracotta, simply because I think terracotta does really well for herbs. I really like this. The herbs will stay indoors, so that will be its own nice little thing. Planting up herbs is pretty straightforward. They are in a south-facing window. I do love that for them. So they were potted up. Then, of course, we have the composter. I am taking all the things that I would use, all the cuttings from the garden, putting it into the composter, running that through, turning it into compost, and putting that compost onto, right now I'm using it on my vegetables and my vegetables, because that's where I have the most space, because everything else, the flowers in the containers, they are totally taking over the containers rather than fight with the containers to get the compost in there. Nah, I decided I wouldn't do that, so I put the compost there. Now, if you if you're on my Patreon, which we get a weekly behind the scenes vlog, you would know that once a day I water the outside plants, they are on a drip irrigation system. They are on for 7 minutes a day, once a day in the morning. Then once a week I do feed them. I feed them by hand. I am using the Miracle Grow plant food. I do feed that to them by hand, and it happens just once a week.
Non-moral high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and hummingbird wing.
I am careful to make sure that I'm only giving plant food to things that want plant food. Things that don't need it, don't get it. I'm also really careful about, instead of using the timer or some sort of app to do the watering, I do the watering myself, because that way I can check and make sure that there isn't a blowout from the watering system, so that if one of the connections comes apart, I'm right there, I'm watching it, I can make sure that it all works really well and really nicely. And it grows really nice, because even today, right now as we speak, it has been raining off and on, which is wonderful because it's getting the smoke out of the air. That's why I can talk a little bit better than when I have been able to. But that's where we are. I think the garden looks pretty nice right now. It will improve, hopefully. The cool part about this is to watch all of this come together, because having the indoor plants and the outdoor plants is something that I'm really passionate about. I love taking care of my indoor plants, making sure that they are all watered and fed, and making sure that I can actually, spawn them. I'll do cuttings from them, and then I will give those cuttings away. Right now, like I said, I have the pothos, I have the spider plants going, I have I think it's a trumpet vine. I'm pretty certain it's a trumpet vine. I'm about ready to cut my basil again. I did take a cutting from outside of the mint and also another one of the sweet basils, so that way I can root those and have those growing inside, so that all year round I will have plants growing. The easiest way for me to do that is to just take the cutting and then put them into my nicely cleaned and washed sprouting little vases, or you could use them as flower vases. The one thing I did do this time was take out the blue marbles or blue rocks that were in there. They just got into the way. That was silly. So they're in there in water. I make sure that they get enough light and also fresh water every once in a while. In fact, once I get done with this today, I'm going to go water my plants for the day. And the one thing you want to remember when you water your plants, try to rotate them. If you can, rotate your plants around so that way they grow evenly and you have no problems. Also take care to make sure that you are looking at how much water a plant should have. Things like my aloe, my bay laurel, they don't get as much water as some of the rest of the plants. So that is something. I do the aloe and bay laurel once every 2 weeks with a thorough watering. Everything else gets watered once a week. Well, I'm going to cut this short now because, yes, I don't know if you could tell it, but I've been coughing like a maniac during this. I'd like to take this time to thank all of these wonderful people from Patreon and channel members. If you'd like to become a patron or a channel member, go ahead and hit one of those buttons to join. We get to talk about all of those things. It really helps support the channel, helps on days like today when I feel awful and I still have to do a video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I get to see you again the next time you stop by.